What's up, Dallas?
Nice job, Mark.
What? You didn't think I was going to start the show like that?
No, I knew you were going to start the show like that.
Who was
that again? Who was
David Akers.
David Akers,
One of the best kickers in Eagles history. Definitely the best kicker in Eagles history, and an icon in Philadelphia sports now. What a moment that was at the NFL draft. Sorry, I had to get it out.
I will say this. If you haven't seen it yet, go look it up. It is hilarious.
It was unbelievable. It was so damn funny. Anyway, Mark Haskell, Zach Miller here. We got the press box for you again. We're going to be talking some national sports this week.
Yep.
We've got a lot of stuff going on. We'll start with the draft really quick. Obviously my Philadelphia Eagles had the number 32 pick, so I stayed awake for 4 hours to watch them trade out of it. But you had a pair of first-round picks. A Bill Belichick team with 2 first-round picks. I don't know if that's ever happened. What are your...
Well, it happened a couple years ago when they took Chandler Jones and Dante Hightower.
That's true. That's true. Good point. I would be remiss.
One now plays for the Cardinals, and the other one is just on the injury list every single week of every
Solid
season,
picks.
it seems like. But
Solid
when
picks.
Hightower's there, he's pretty good. But yeah, Pats had, let's see here, they had a bunch.
Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah, not first overall, but their first overall pick.
At 23.
At 23. You let me do the job?
Sorry.
I'm
Go
the
right
Patriots
ahead.
guy here.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Isaiah Wynn, 23, go.
Isaiah Wynn, pick 23 in round 1. Sony Michel, round 1, pick 31, running back out of Georgia. Both guys out of Georgia. Bill Belichick dipping into the SEC once again. We have a couple of years ago, he had drafted all those defensive backs out of Rutgers.
Yes, I remember that.
So he had his little Rutgers kick, and now he must be on his Georgia kick. Still in the second round, pick 56, Duke Dawson, defensive back out of the SEC out of Florida. And then Jawan Bentley, linebacker out of Purdue in round 5 at pick 143. Christian Sam, I don't think there's any relation to Michael Sam there.
Probably not.
Linebacker out of Arizona State, round 6. Pick number 4 out of round 6. And here's a really interesting pick. Braxton Berrios, wide receiver out of Miami.
Heard a lot about him.
Round 6 at pick 36. He's 5'9", 186, and let's just say he's going to be the new slot player for the Patriots.
Well, they have to have a really short slot receiver. It's
Yeah.
one of the Bill Belichick things. He's got to have one.
Amendola's gone. He's almost like a new Wes Welker, because Welker was around that 5'9", 5'10" height back. It was like 10 years ago that Welker played for the Pats.
So Berrios, I've heard a lot about. Wynn, I heard that he could step right in and maybe be a left tackle for you guys. But the Sony Michel pick kind of it intrigues me because you have Lamar Jackson right there. And you need a backup quarterback. What are your thoughts on them not taking him? A lot of people say maybe he doesn't fit into the Patriots scheme, but it just seems like he was a really good quarterback right there that you could have.
Well, he kind of doesn't fit into the scheme, but at the same time, he can throw the ball, he can run. He's almost like a Michael Vick, just almost not as good. Granted, he did win the Heisman Trophy back in 2016, so he was the best player in college football that year. And he had an outstanding year last year, and he was also up for the Heisman. I think he was one of the top 5 finalists.
And that's not to discredit Sony Michel. I've heard he's a terrific running back as well.
Yeah, he's a terrific running back.
But if you're looking at the depth chart, and Brady's over 40 now, I mean, it's well talked about. And there's Brian Hoyer just sitting there, just holding the clipboard. It just seems like you'd want to have another player in there.
Well, they did draft a quarterback, Danny Etling, out of LSU, formerly of Purdue, who transferred to LSU, and the 7th round with the first pick in the 7th round. Now, Etling is 6'2", 215. He had a 60.3% completion rate his senior year, which was his best completion rate between LSU and Purdue all 4 years. He threw for 2,234 yards with 14 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Do I think he could be Tom Brady's successor? No,
Probably
I do not
no.
think he's not going to be Tom Brady's successor. But you know what? You never know. Remember, who knew Tom Brady coming out of?
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Patriots, trade for another backup quarterback. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't even see that guy on the roster.
That's true. It wouldn't surprise me. Granted, the 7th round pick, they had 3 7-rounders. They took Keon Crossan, defensive back out of Western Carolina, and Ryan Izzo, a tight end out of Florida State. Granted, these late round picks sometimes pan out, sometimes they don't. But the Patriots have hit more often than not on these late round picks. We're getting the most out of their guys. And going back to what you said about Sony Michel, he was one of the most productive players in the SEC last year. He had 948 yards, 13 touchdowns with a 7.2 yards per carry average. That while splitting time with Nick Chubb and freshman DeAndre Swift down at Georgia. So he was on the national champion runner-up Georgia.
He could certainly step right in and make an impact.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He could. Oh yeah, he will probably replace Dion Lewis since Lewis is gone. And Berrios will be that interesting one replacing Danny Amendola, but Patriots also get Malcolm Mitchell back because he missed all of last year. So that's these guys aren't a lock to make the roster, so we always have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Well, let's shift gears real quick. Let's go over to the Bruins. Wow, Game 7 with Toronto seems like a long time ago.
It does.
Doesn't
It seems like it was like 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely. Already. Now we just wrapped up Game 2 with Game 3 actually with Bruins Lightning. Lightning with a 4-1 win Wednesday night in Boston. Palat for the Lightning, 2 goals in the first 4 minutes for Tampa. Tough to dig out of a hole like that, even in the best of circumstances. What were your kind of thoughts on the game?
I flipped it on with I think I missed the first 5 minutes of the game, so it was already 2-0 then, and I was like, holy cow. And the Bruins just played from behind, and once they scored that goal in the first period and cut it to 2-1, and then Tampa Bay came right back and scored that goal again.
And then that's when it was kind of chip and chase.
Yeah,
just
and
a lot of that.
Tampa Bay's defense, and they mentioned it throughout the broadcast on NBCSN, they were everywhere the Bruins were. And they just swarmed, they corralled the puck, and they just made life a living hell, basically, for the Bruins last night on their home ice. So now the Bruins had home ice advantage going into last night. If they could have won, they could have kept it, but now home ice shifts back to Tampa Bay.
That first goal, it was a soft goal. It was a turnover deep in the Boston zone. I mean, that was kind of I don't want to say it was a fluky goal, but it was a turnover. It was off a turnover. So that one really wasn't Rask's fault. And the second one came off a deflection. I didn't think Rask played that badly. I mean, 33 saves, but when you get yourself in a hole like that, it's tough to get out of it, even in the best of circumstances, even playing in Boston. But those are the kind of games that if you're going to get to a Stanley Cup, you got to figure out a way to kind of rally the troops and get the crowd into it and rally for a game like that.
Yeah, there's a reason why Tampa Bay is the higher seed in this series. So I mean, game
they led the Eastern Conference in wins.
Yeah, Game 4 is tomorrow night, still in Boston.
Yeah, are we calling this a must-win now?
I mean, with the Bruins, I don't know. I mean, a couple years ago they came back from 3-1 deficit. I mean, that just seems to be a theme with Boston sports, a 3-1 deficit. They just come back. Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics. I mean, I think it could be because if Tampa Bay goes back home, the Bruins could win, but Tampa Bay's pretty good. I think
I'm going to say Tampa in 6.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm going back on what I said last week. Bruins in, I can't remember what I said. Bruins in 7.
I think you said we both said Bruins in 7.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting stat last night during the telecast of the game. The Tampa Bay coach, I forget his name, is 6-4 in road playoff games. So I mean, he's got a pretty good record. He knows what he's doing.
Well, Celtics, 76ers. We're on to the next round.
Let's
Milwaukee.
Change that ice over to the hard to
that's right. Let's do that. Let's do that. So obviously the Celtics and the Bucks, we wrapped up there. Celtics with a big win there. So now we're on to Philly. Celtics and the Sixers. It just has like an old 80s feel to it. I love it. And obviously 117-101 win Monday for the Celtics. Quick turnaround after Game 7. No Jaylen Brown. No problem, because we've got Terry Rozier. 29
Jason
points,
Tatum.
7 of 9 from distance, 28 for Tatum, 26, I believe it was for Horford.
In this series, where are the veterans? You have Terry Rozier's 24, Jason Tatum was 19, Ben Simmons.
Horford, you would call him the veteran, I guess.
Ben Simmons over on Philadelphia, and Joel Embiid, the big center who's like 21 years old. So this is a very, very future of the NBA type of series.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, like it sucks that there's no Kyrie, there's no Gordon Hayward and stuff like that, but I can really see that this is going to be the start of kind of a new era in the East. Like it's going to be the Celtics and the Sixers battling a lot in the next few years. Interesting to me though. I was looking through the box score. The one player for Philly who didn't play, #1 overall pick, Markelle Fultz. The one guy on the team who did not log 1 single minute.
I think Danny Ainge knows what he's doing, don't you?
Yeah. Embiid, he scored 31 for Philly, and he said that he feels unstoppable when he's being single covered by the Celtics defense. And he also says that he thinks Philly's going to have a better defensive effort tonight. I kind of think that Philly's probably going to steal one here in Boston on Friday night, and that Game 3 on Saturday in Philly is going to be a pivotal game.
Yeah, well, Brad Stevens isn't changing anything up tonight. He said he's going to use the same starting 5 regardless of if Jaylen Brown plays tonight, which more likely
they're saying he's probably not
going to play. He didn't do any practice or shoot around or anything the past yesterday or today. So, well, I mean, we'll see. They didn't need him at all in Game 1, and if they get him back, it's just icing on the cake.
Obviously, being a Celtics fan, I'm just trying to think realistically. I mean, Philly was 5 of 26 from 3, and Boston was 17 of 35. They almost shot 50% from beyond the arc. That's just not sustainable to me, and you can't expect Terry Rozier to put up almost 30 points every single night.
You can't, but he's doing it.
And I'm
completely fine with it.
Yeah, but I can't wait to see how he plays Game 3 in Philly, because the splits, he plays a lot better at home than he does on the road. That Game 3, we're going to learn a lot.
Yes, we will. Now, real quick, we're almost out of time, Mark. Your Red Sox are doing pretty well.
Yes, they are. And the Red Sox aren't doing great. I mean, they're
back down on earth.
Right, they're back to earth.
Mookie Betts is doing pretty well, though.
3-3 in their most recent homestand, but like Mookie Betts is definitely on some other planet. Another 3-homer game in the 5-4 win over the Royals yesterday. That's his second 3-homer game of the year.
That's crazy. He's 5 in his career now. Who did he pass?
No, isn't he tied with Ted Williams?
No, he passed him.
He passed him. That's pretty exclusive company just to say that you passed Ted Williams in anything.
A guy that batted 400 career lifetime. That's pretty good.
And so now they go to Texas tonight. They've got a long road stand. They've got 4 with Texas. They've got 3 in the Bronx, and then they've got 3 at Toronto. So a 10-game road trip starting tonight in Texas. You're going to have Chris Sale on the mound tonight. It's going to be a long road trip, but we're only 2 games ahead of the Yankees. So that Bronx series, which starts on May 8th, could be a big one.
It's going to be a big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward to it, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next week. I'm Mark. This is Zach. This is the Press Box.